Hi, in this video, we shall be discussing an IB question paper with this question paper code. It is paper 2 for higher level chemistry during November 2018 examination. So in this video, we shall be discussing question 1C from this particular question paper. For questions 1A and 1B, the video has been already done. Please check the description box below for getting answers to those questions. I'll repeat. Here in this video, we shall be discussing only questions C and D. Questions 1A and 1B has already been done. The links to those videos will be shared in the description box. So now we shall see this particular question. Sketch a graph of concentration of iron sulfate FeSO4 against time as the reaction proceeds. Now, as a quick recap, let me highlight the reaction once again. The reaction is between iron powder, powdered iron, and copper sulfate. This copper sulfate has been calculated to be the limiting reagent. Obviously, this iron is there in excess amount. So when this reaction happens, initially iron powder was used and copper sulfate is aqueous. So as the reaction proceeds, we will be getting copper metal in iron sulfate solution, FeSO4 solution. Copper is actually formed, copper solid is formed as a precipitate in iron sulfate solution. Assume that the violet spheres here indicate iron and the green spheres indicates FeSO4. As it's clear in the diagram itself, there are few violet particles even towards the end because, as I stated before, we are having excess of iron, meaning the reaction will not, meaning complete iron particles will not be consumed in the reaction. The reaction will be stopping once the copper sulfate molecules have been completely used up by the reaction mixture. And now in this question, we have been asked to plot a graph for the reaction rate with respect to concentration of ferrous sulfate with time. For that, if you're observing this diagram, you can understand that initially there are no ferrous sulfate particles. There's not even a single ferrous sulfate particle that is there at the start of the reaction. There is only iron that is present, meaning zero number of iron sulfate molecules are there at the start of the reaction. But as the time proceeds, initially there is a lot of reactant molecules. So the collision between iron and copper sulfate would be happening tremendously fast. I'll repeat. Since there are a lot of reactant particles, the collision between iron and copper sulfate particles will be happening very fast at the start of the reaction. So the rate of production, rate at which the iron sulfate is formed also will be very high. But as time passes by, the reactant molecules, the amount of reactant molecules will cease down, the amount of reactant molecules will decrease down. Obviously, that will be reflected in the rate of production of FeSO4 as well, meaning as time passes by, the rate of reaction will slow down. I'll repeat again. Initially, the reaction rate will be really high because there are a lot of reactant molecules. As time passes by, the reactant molecules get slowly reduced. So the reaction rate also, or the production of iron sulfate also gets reduced. And once the complete copper sulfate, which is the limiting reagent, has been over, no more ferrous sulfate will be produced. So here we are making the assumption that copper sulfate, which is there as the limiting reagent, will be completely consumed. And at that point of time, the iron, which is there in excess, will still remain, but the production of iron sulfate will no longer happen. So now let's try to plot the graph. In the graph, they have already marked the x-axis and y-axis. X-axis is having time and y-axis is having concentration of FeSO4. So initially we said there are, as in the diagram, there are no FeSO4 molecules at the start. So this would be the starting point. So as the reaction, as time passed by, the amount of ferrous sulfate increases. It increases very fast initially, then it slows down, and then the reaction dies out at a point of time when there are no more copper sulfate molecules to undergo reaction. So this is the marking scheme. You can pause the video and have a quick look at the marking scheme. Now let's see what is the next question. So this is the next part of the question. Outline how the initial rate of the reaction can be determined from the graph in part C1. So in order to determine the initial rate of the reaction, meaning initial rate means at the start, the moment at which we are mixing the reactants. And for that, we have to draw the tangent, because we know that at the very start of the reaction, the amount of product formation would be very high, but we cannot get it from this graph directly. Directly, it's not possible to get it from the graph. So in order to get the initial rate of the reaction, we have to plot a tangent. At time 0, we have to plot a tangent like this. And whenever you're plotting the tangent, make sure that we are going for the biggest possible line so as to get the most reliable data. In order to calculate the slope of this violet line, which is the tangent, I have to draw a line parallel to y-axis, and I have to take this line along the x-axis. I have to take the ratio between y on x. You'll be able to get the initial rate for this particular reaction. So drawing the tangent to this point, we'll be able to calculate the initial rate for the reaction. So let's write. Draw a tangent at time equals 0. Slope of the tangent equals the initial rate. So now let's see how the marking scheme goes. So this is the marking scheme. Coming back to the next question, explain using collision theory why replacing iron powder with a piece of iron of same mass slows down the rate of the reaction. For that, let's try to understand it with the help of a diagram. Here, let's assume that this is a block of iron. This is an iron block. And these green particles are powdered iron. When we are using a block of iron, limited number of iron particles are only exposed to the copper sulfate molecules for collision and getting converted to product. But when I'm going with powdered iron, a lot of molecules are getting exposed to copper sulfate solution. The more copper sulfate molecules will be undergoing collision with the iron particles, and hence the rate will be faster if we are going with powdered iron. Or in other words, we can say that in a block of iron, the surface area that gets exposed for the molecules to undergo collision, for the iron particles and copper sulfate particles to undergo collision is greatly less. But when we are going with powdered iron, the surface area of iron particles gets increased. When the surface area gets increased, more and more collisions will be happening between the iron and copper sulfate particles. As the number of collisions increases, the rate of reaction also will be higher. So what is it? As the surface area increases, rate of collision will be faster. Product formation also will be faster with higher surface area. Piece of iron has smaller surface area or lower surface area. Surface area. So number of collisions. So number of collisions will be less and rate of reaction slows down. Rate of reaction is slower. This is the marking scheme. This is the last section from question 1. You may read the question by pausing the video. A student electrolyzed aqueous ferrous sulfate, FeSO4 solution using platinum electrodes. State half equations for the reaction at the electrodes using section 24 of the data booklet. So now section 24 from the data booklet is the standard electrode potential at 298 Kelvin. I've pasted it here on the whiteboard. As per question, it said that we are subjecting iron sulfate. It is not copper sulfate. We are subjecting iron sulfate for electrolysis using platinum electrodes. It's platinum electrodes that are used. Platinum is an inert electrode. It will not be participating in the reaction, but it will be serving as a medium for the electron transfer. It will not directly take part in the reaction. It's an inert electrode. The molecules within the electrolytic solution only will be participating in the reaction, meaning it could be either water, H plus or OH minus generated from the water molecules, or iron, Fe2 plus, or sulfate ions that will be participating in the reaction. Platinum is just an inert electrode. It will not participate in the reaction. Now, we have to know what reaction can happen at the cathode, what reaction can happen at the anode. We know that cathode undergoes, at the cathode, it is a reduction that takes place, and at the cathode, reduction happens. At the cathode, reduction happens, and reduction happens for the species with higher reduction potential. So those particles which have higher reduction potential will be getting reduced at the cathode. At the same time, those at the anode, oxidation will be happening. And as far as oxidation is concerned, the particles with lower reduction potential value will be undergoing oxidation at the anode. Now let's see which all particles can undergo, which all can be the molecules, or which all can be the reactions that can happen at the cathode, or which all can be the reactions that can happen at the anode. Fe2 plus can get converted to Fe. Its reduction potential value is minus 0.45. That is one reaction that can happen. Or water getting converted to H2 hydrogen gas and OH minus, that can happen. Or H plus getting converted to hydrogen gas, this can happen. Yeah, with sulfate, I can have this reaction. Then again, oxygen, water, OH minus, so I can have this reaction. Copper will not do. Yeah, I can have even this reaction. Or even this one also. So these are few reactions that can happen in this particular system. Now, in order to decide which will undergo oxidation, which will undergo reduction, I've stated it here clearly. The one with higher reduction potential will be undergoing reduction at the cathode, and the one with lower reduction potential will be undergoing oxidation at the anode. Now let's find out which can be the reaction at the cathode, which can be the reaction at the anode. For that, for a cathode reaction, try a reaction which is, take a species which is having higher reduction potential. So if you can observe, this is minus 0.83. This is plus 0.77. Or at the top, you have lower values. We have low values at the top and we have higher values at the bottom. So for cathode, you may go with a bottom reaction, and for the anode, you may choose any one from the top section. So I'm going with this for the cathode and preferably this for the anode. So at the cathode, where reduction occurs, I can directly take this reaction because this is given in reduction format, and reduction is what is happening at the cathode. So I can simply write half O2 plus 2H plus 2E gives H2O. If I'm removing this half, I'll be getting, in order to remove the half, I can multiply throughout by 2. So I'll be getting O2 plus 4H plus 4E gives 2 water molecule. So this would be my cathode reaction. And for the anode, I've decided to take a reaction from the top. I've decided to take this one from the top. So that will be in this table. But there is a problem. At the anode, it is not reduction, it is oxidation that is happening. But this equation, what is given here, is in reduction format. So what I have to do is I have to flip it over. So when I'm flipping it over, I'll be getting it as Fe solid gives Fe plus 2 aqueous plus 2 electrons. I have highlighted the anode and the cathode equation, which I've chosen from this table. Now let's see the marking scheme. You may pause the video and have a look. So many options are provided. You can choose any one. So only point what you have to note is for cathode half reaction, select one from the higher reduction potential value, and for the anode half, select one from the lower reduction potential value and flip it over. Again, remember, anode half has to be flipped over because at the anode, it is not reduction, that is instead oxidation, what is happening, loss of electron that is happening. So yeah, that's all for now in this video. Thank you.